female version of Superbad. What did I think? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and this is my review for the new comedy, Booksmart. Booksmart stars Kaitlyn Dever, Beanie Feldstein, and it is directed by Olivia Wilde. It kind of hit me that this movie was coming out because I had seen the first trailer for it a few months ago. Kind of got excited about it. I thought it looked really funny. It looked a lot like Superbad, but that it was going to have maybe a little bit of a different flair to it and bring some new things to the table. And I didn't realize that this movie was coming out this weekend until probably like 2 weeks ago. And so I was happy that I could finally go and see this movie because I've been hearing rave things about it. It had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for a long time. Right now it sits at about 97%. This movie takes place in a high school setting where these two characters, Amy and Molly, are getting ready to graduate, having been successful in just focusing on school and not partying or not, being social. They decide that they need to break this streak after they find out some of their other classmates are going to prestigious schools just like them, and they also party as well, so they decide to spend their last night before graduation partying it up. I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed it. Did I think it was the next best thing in comedy? No. The thing is, I was very excited for this movie. I feel like part of the reason why I was a little let down by it was maybe all the overhyping of this film. A lot of people had hyped this movie up. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, all the critics were loving it, but to me I felt like a lot of this movie just is rehashes of things we've seen done multiple times. It kind of gets old after a while. Like I want to see, if I want to see a high school comedy, I want them to do something different, but it just felt like this is more, sexual jokes and the same, type of characters. To me it's just, It's very predictable, too. I mean, the whole film is predictable. Now it is a comedy, so, of course it's going to be predictable in aspects. There's this one character who you find out what their motive is to doing what they do, and I literally thought to myself, oh, it's because of this reason. And I was right. I'm not going to give anything away. If you watch the movie, you should probably know, just because they fall into that little cliche that comedies or films like this fall into. Now, that's not to say I don't like this film. I really enjoyed this movie for the most part. Let me get into the pros. So, number one, I think Kaitlyn Dever and Beanie Feldstein, who play Amy and Molly in this film, they have great chemistry. There was never a moment where I felt like they weren't actual best friends in real life. I also really like the visual style that Olivia Wilde goes for in this movie. It's very indie, but it also feels like something different. A lot of indie films, they have this small budget mind frame or this visual look to it. This film didn't necessarily feel like that, and I actually really like that. I also thought some of the characters in this movie were great. They have this one character in particular, can't remember his name. He's gay and he's dramatic entrepreneur. Can't remember what his name is, but he was hilarious. Every single scene that he was in, I just cracked up dying. I mean, he does some funny things. There's a karaoke sequence with this character, and I just thought it was hilarious. And I also really liked Billy Lord in this movie. Billy Lord is in this movie. I didn't even realize for a second. I walked out of the theater, and I was like, I know her from somewhere. And then I realized, that's Billy Lord. That is crazy. And I think she does a great job. Her character is pretty interesting, and she kind of shows up throughout the entire film. She kind of represents the audience in a way at certain points. And you do have those characters who are, the typical douche. You have the guy who, is hot for a teacher. I mean, guys like that, they're not really that funny. I felt like the funny moments with them are the people around them and maybe the situational stuff that is happening. It wasn't funny with certain characters as opposed to other characters where it felt like they could have taken on the whole weight of the comedic portion of that scene, and they do it flawlessly. It seems like it's shot in kind of this real atmospheric setting of a real high school setting, and that's what I like. There's a lot of films where it's very artificial and these high schoolers don't really feel real, but this movie reminded me of high school for me. And I remember certain characters in this movie represent certain people in my high school. I'm not going to say who because that's disrespectful. It was just really refreshing and really funny to see that because I could relate to the situation that was going on. The negatives of this movie. Now, my biggest criticism with this movie is this movie a lot of times just tries to establish female Superbad film as opposed to really establishing its own identity. And that to me gets lost because yes, this movie has a lot of similarities to Superbad and what Superbad did, but this film, if it didn't try to do a lot of things that Superbad did and try to be the female Superbad movie, this movie could have established a better personal identity as opposed to this identity of, well, it's the female Superbad. There were times in this movie where it just felt like a lot of the same stuff, but just told from a female perspective. I wish that they would have at least tried to find or try to craft their own identity throughout the story, and it might have been more hilarious to me. It might have even been more compelling and more dramatic when certain characters go through certain things. Another negative for me is some of the jokes just don't deliver, and it's really funny. Sexual things can be funny in nature, but after a while it just kind of gets to be noise. And to me, it just kind of lost that shimmer, that shine that it had as the movie kind of progressed. The jokes got less and less funny, and certain things play out, try to make it seem funny, but it's not. And so to me, I just found myself to want more on the comedic aspect of it, as opposed to making it, towards the end of the movie where it falls off and kind of becomes a drama in some ways. So the comedic elements to it, some of it was flat, some of it was outstanding, but overall, guys, this is a great movie. I enjoyed Booksmart. I think the pros outweigh the cons. You should definitely go check out Booksmart soon. But it's not a movie to me that is like, best picture worthy or anything like that. I don't think it's going to do anything Oscar season wise, but it is a fun little indie movie that you should definitely go check out. And I'm really looking forward to what Olivia Wilde can do next, because I think she has a great visual style as a director, and I'm really looking forward to her next project. So anyway, guys, what do you think of Booksmart? Let me know below in the comment section. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to my channel for more content, and as always, I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.